YuGiOh Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution announced for Nintendo Switch. Not what I had in mind, but I guess we'll take it. So today, Konami announced, it's really early in the morning, it's like 5 AM for me. Konami announced that we're getting a new game on Switch, and it's going to be available in Japan only for the moment. That's kind of all we know. And it's going to be Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. So big things you can see for translating this and putting this out on their site. Basically, for what it seems like is it's just going to be the same game we had before, the same game that's on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC over here in the West, and it's going to have new characters and new cards and the new Master Rule 4 system, which is of course the introduction of link summoning and moving the pendulum zones back into the spell and trap card zones. So it's going to be that kind of update. I hope there's more, and I'll talk about why I hope there's more later on in the video. But we won't know anything else new until February 21st when we get the new issue of V-Jump, which is going to be pretty interesting because Japan never got Legacy of the Duelist. This is a game that was developed in the West, for the West. It's developed by Other Ocean, I think it was, who developed this game, who worked on previous titles for the West, like Decade Duels Plus and Millennium Duels, I think that was both them. And so it's kind of weird that Konami for Japan is using this branding of Legacy of the Duelist, this moniker, for this game that they never released on the PS4, despite the PS4 doing really well in Japan, and now the Switch obviously is doing insanely well. It's pretty much neck and neck with PS4's lifetime sales over there, so we can see why they do want to focus on Switch, and YuGiOh's always kind of in Japan at least had this very handheld focused approach to it with like Tag Force and World Championships, and of course Psycho Card Battle, which we never got, which was announced we were going to be getting, but we never got over here, so that's kind of disappointing. And I'm kind of worried that Konami are going to pull the same thing here, and we're not going to get this. Now, Switch is region free, so you can just go on the eShop and download it whenever it does come out, but it would be nice to see this as an update or a DLC for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC versions, and of course have that brand new Switch release, which I of course would go into and buy a lot. Now, this game could do really well, which I think it will do regardless, or it could flop like crazy, because Legacy of the Duelist was a very mixed bag overall. Like, I played on the channel, I made content on it every day for like a year and a half, and there is a lot to do in the game. You have like the whole plethora of the history of the TC to kind of go into and play with, and at the same time there's also not much there in the way of other modes, but what they did bring was pretty cool. So before we kind of get into that, there's one interesting thing I wanted to point out. So if you were around back in the day, there was a trailer for this game, and you could kind of tell that this was a very budget entry for Konami. This didn't cost them a lot to make. They didn't really care too much about it. It ended up selling really, really well, being like topping the PSN Xbox charts for like 2 months in a row, and then it kind of slipped down, and then when DLC came up, it came back into the charts or whatever. But they actually like included fake cards in their announcement. Like there's a Rakdos the Defiler, and there's another one I think it is, which is a card from WoW, which is Balanar the Nightstalker, I think it is. So they used straight up fake cards, whatever PR agency they actually hired to make this trailer, this advertisement for them, just didn't know anything about the target market, and you could kind of feel this lack of quality throughout the entire game. As you can see on screen, I'm sure I'll have like actual gameplay that I had on there. The actual UI and the design of things is pretty terrible. If it was developed for like the Vita or the PSP, I think this would have been a perfect kind of look for it. It's low poly, it's not, going to explode your system when you play with it. It was a very slow game, the menu system was very clunky. It's a very clunky menu system. The animations as well, like the monsters were terrible. For like, they advertised this as, like you can see in this video here, get ready for a next gen experience, and the experience we got was pretty like PS2 level, or even worse than that. Like, Duelist of Roses had much better monster animations. Even Duel Links now has really nice animations compared to this game. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. Obviously, that's not the main focus of the game, but when this is like your first main entry on PS1, Xbox One, you kind of wanted it to be good, and it was really mixed. So they did some things right with the game, And this is one area I think that's going to be deciding whether we get it here or not. And that's what they do with extra content, because this was developed for the West, as I said earlier, by a Western company, and we had a Battle Pack draft in the game. This was a brand new feature, one they were touting pretty heavily. They kind of forego tag duels for this, for something new they hadn't done before, and Battle Pack was a TCG only thing. This was the only way you could play this, these sets, which were honestly kind of like Duel Links. You know, you just had a bunch of reprints, and you played this new format, and it was a really fun thing to go through, and you had a certain amount of wins you could play with a deck, and then afterwards you got those cards, you got to keep them in your library, which this game was really good at just getting cards. It was very easy to get any of the cards available in the game for free very, very easily. And this was a mode that was, obviously, if you put it in Japan, it wouldn't make a lot of sense because they never got these sets. Now, they could just change the logos up and, you know, have this as their own little mini set in the game, whatever, but it'd still be pretty weird if they did have this. Now, there's also the risk, and it's a very big risk, that Konami will kind of shaft us on this game. Not just in not bringing it out within the West, but in DLC, because if you've ever played this game, you'll know that there is like 17 DLC packs, like £4 or like $6 each, whatever it is. So you're looking at like 70 to 100 quid on this, like 70 quid to $100 on this kind of game, plus the cost of the game itself was like $130 you had to kind of pay out across the entire lifespan. If you wanted some of the most powerful cards in the game, the most meta decks to play online, if you wanted some of the story mode content, which especially in the later DLCs was very lacking with Arc 5, which I assume, given they're going to be introducing link summoning, means we're going to be getting things from Reigns, and Reigns is like halfway through its life cycle now, so there's a lot they can kind of go off of and actually give us in this game, which again, depending on how they do this, might affect us getting this, because if it's going to be like Legacy Duelist and give us that recreation of the anime that we got before, and it's just going to be, you know, a Japanese port of that title, then it's going to be the same game we got already, and then they'll hopefully add in more scenarios for Arc 5, and then with Reigns they'll get some stuff, but then when it comes to the West, we might not get it until Reigns catches up to where they are in the dub, because, like, it's kind of a mess when you release a title that's a port, which we assume is going to be a port of a game that didn't come out in your country, that was a repurpose or rehash of a game that came out in your country, and it really, really kind of terrifies me as to how good this game could be, because I think the general reception to this game online right now has been really, really good, despite it being a port, seemingly. People have been excited for it, from what I've seen, just because it's been so long since we've had a game on consoles for YuGiOh, and it will be a nice refreshing pace if they've updated the UI, which they should have done. If they've added in some new modes, like tag duels would be really fun. Duel Links has, people have been asking for PP tag duels for a while. It was on the PS3 game, it skipped this game, so hopefully in Link Evolution they can add that back. That would be kind of cool, because I don't think we've had Link tag duels before, so or in any like supported, you know, tournament or whatever, so that could be kind of cool. However, I do disagree with this comment. A few days ago, my brother described to me these new master rules and their implications, and from what I understand, this rule set brings the game back to being closer in line with how the game played when I was young, and further away from the more chaotic and gimmick-centric direction the game has been moving forward to for some time now. I'm so down for this, it seems like it might get me back into the game. Well, I'm sorry, because if this game comes up to West, this is all you can expect to happen to you. And one more thing that I find interesting is way back in the day, way back in 2016, Konami actually announced 3 games for release. They announced Duel Links, a 3DS title, and an online game for console and PC. And you have to imagine that somewhere down the line, everything kind of shifted because Duel Links got delayed, and that got delayed out of spring into autumn, into winter actually, into winter of 2016. So that got delayed super big, quite a lot. So that didn't come out for a while. The 3DS game we never got because I think it did like 1 million downloads in Japan. It was free to play, and I guess Konami of America and EU didn't see that as being very profitable to bring over here, so that kind of makes sense. And then the online game was one that I was very vocal about on Twitter, about whether we'd be getting it or not, because a lot of people kind of said, oh, that was just Legacy Duelist for PC when that came out, but it wasn't, because this was announced for Japan as well, and Japan never got it, and it was announced as a new game, and they also announced DLC for Legacy Duelist at the same time as this, so it was all kind of weird. So maybe this was the game that was meant to come out that long ago, but then as 2016 winded off, you had the announcement of Vrains and Link summoning, and it wouldn't make too much sense to announce a game so close to the new summoning mechanic and have it be outdated immediately, whereas with this they can kind of ensure that it's somewhat up to date. Like I assume, I feel like, personal prediction here, we're going to get everything up to Savage Strike at least. I'd hope we get Dark Neostorm, just because of when it's going to be coming out. Like I assume it'll be coming out in like maybe April, May time around then. If it's any later than that, then I think they can kind of squeeze in a few more sets, but if it's around that time, then definitely, at least for Japan, give us Dark Neostorm. That could be really good. I think there's not too much we know right now coming out after that, but I'm just excited because Legacy Duelist on PS4, we never got the Dark Illusion, which was my favourite set because it gave us new Dark Magician support, and that's my favourite deck, so I'm very happy to at least be able to play that online in a full 5-card format on console against real people, rather than playing on YuGiOh Pro or on Dueling Book. And yeah, I'm excited for this game overall. I know it's a bit of a rambly video. I just kind of wanted to give my initial thoughts on this and kind of throw things out there as to why you should be kind of excited and not excited, and a little bit worried and skeptical, and just hopefully they smash it out of the park. Hopefully this isn't just a straight port and that's about it. If they add in new ways to duel, if they add in a replacement for that battle pack draft, if they change the UI up just a little bit, make it a bit more modern, like even if they replicate Duel Links' UI, if they make it very similar to that, then I'll be very happy. If they put voice lines in it, which we know they've got voice lines for in Duel Links, or for like some of the characters, that'll be super cool. But that's going to be done for today's video. I nearly said Duel Links video. It's a Legacy Duelist Link Evolution video. That's going to take a while to remember. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next Duel Links video. Fuck, I did it again. Ah! See you then.